So I find that, especially with a 2 terabyte drive, which is my standard for most companies, um, some of them only fill it up with 20 or 30. Other ones it goes to over 100. So what I've found is that once you pass 50, there's a risk that the backup application will time out before it finds the only physical virtual machine or a physical image for the hypervisor to restore. All the virtual machines are available for every day you had a backup, but the physical machine is only the one day. And if there's too many of them, too many backups on the disk, the software will time out and never find it. And if you cancel and retry, cancel and retry, it's a lot of waiting, and sometimes you're out of luck. So then, of course, the option is to reinstall the virtual machine. Pardon me, the physical machine from disk. And who wants to do that? Nobody. So I keep that master disk with only a few backups on it, and one containing an old version, because the the hypervisor is not something that changes daily. It doesn't hold data. Its job is to run virtual machines. So it's very simplistic in design. Yeah, it could be easily, you could have a hot server with a physical hypervisor running, and just swap out the machines and restore the virtuals. Sure, that will work too. But anyway, here's how I do it. So I have the master disk with minimal backups on it, and data that's when I know what date that was taken at. So I have a snapshot that gets up to 6 months old before I refresh it. Maybe not. It depends on the client. You decide. So every so often, after the disks pass 50, then I start testing them on test hardware to see if I can restore them. And when they fail, I wipe the drive and start over. Because that's another problem I have with Windows Backup. It is not perfect. Because what I find now is when the disk gets full, one of several things happen. This is very interesting, and I haven't figured out what causes each one to occur. So I have one client whose disk gets up to maybe 20 max, and then it drops them all and starts at 1 again. And I don't know where the setting is for that, but I didn't set it that way. I have other clients whose backup fails because the disk is full. Well, what the fuck? Why don't you do it the other one? Just drop them and start over. But it doesn't do that. It keeps trying to, and it fails. So I have to manually clean that disk by dropping all the backup catalogs and reformatting it. And the only thing I don't like about it is it changes the date. I like the date of the disk. The disk is named by the name of the server and the date it was created. I like to keep the date the same because it kind of tells you how old the disk is. Because time goes by, and very quickly when you're doing this stuff, and disks become 5, 7, 8 years old before you know it. And you need to replace them more often than that. Probably every 5 years is probably what I should be doing. But it seems like only yesterday I sold the guy a bunch of new disks, and they're already old. And he's never used them to restore. So he's going, why do I keep paying for these discs? Oh, it's insurance. Just because you take insurance on your car, or just in case you're going to have an accident, or you hope for the best and not have insurance. Of course, you got to have insurance for data, and business continuity. Anyway, so why is that the case? Either they drop themselves, or they don't drop, or I do them manually. A lot of times with clients that don't have a lot of data, it can build up to a lot of backups on a 2 terabyte disk, and then you have trouble restoring them when the chips are down. So don't get caught by this, where you have a dead server. And another thing I like to point out about the beauty of Windows Server Backup, it's not hardware specific. I've restored in the test environment to many different pieces of hardware, and it worked. It boots. You remember the old days with the old servers, depending on the disk drivers and stuff like that. The sucker would blue screen you, and image or not, you couldn't do it. You had to rebuild it from scratch. So Windows Backup's improved a lot. So forget all these guys on these forums trying to sell you crappy software that's complicated and doesn't do it. Because There's nothing nicer than having a client call you up. My server's dead. Oh, okay. Get out. Give me your latest image. Oh, here we go. And tomorrow morning he's back up in business like nothing was wrong. That's how it's done, people. So the next time somebody comes to you and says, set the number of full images for Windows Server backup to keep, what you don't want to do is answer in this question. What server is that? Well, it's fucking Windows, you idiot. And then what operating system? I just told you again. What are you backing up to? That doesn't matter. In this case, it's USB hard disk, but it could be tape, could be anything. It doesn't matter. And what's the desired retention period? Again, doesn't matter. And then I'm not going to try your VM agent or any crap like that because I don't need it. Anyway, get lost, all you backup software idiots. Stop putting your worthless advice about how to buy your software on a forum that's asking about an already existing software that's really your competitor. So go get your own forum. Anyway, stuff like that really pisses me off. So I must say, Windows Server Backup has never let me down. And I've learned a few tricks along the way because I run into the situation where, this backup doesn't work. It can't find the image. But luckily I have two, and that's why you have two. And now I have three because I want a fail-safe for the physical machine image that may not be available in the current date I want. If you're fancy, you can take that master disk, I'll call it, and you can make a folder tree for it, and every time you use it, drag the backup into the folder, and then you can make a catalog of the physical machine images, because automatically it will overwrite, or I don't know if it, I don't know that it overwrites it. Automatically it makes available the one that's on there now and replaces it with the one on the day you're doing the backup. So keep that in mind. It only keeps virtual machines for every day the backup is run in their original existing condition, not the physical machine. You only get the latest one. Okay, thanks for everything, buddy. See you later. I'm sorry, I just got to whine about this other sales agent on the next response to this guy's question about how many images to save. Just going to state that Windows Server Backup is a terrible backup solution when compared to just about anything else. I disagree. Yours is a terrible backup. Windows is great. Sometimes it's all you can afford, and that's what you're stuck with. But really, anything is better. Yeah, that reminds me. They want a pretty penny for some of that backup software, especially if you want to back up SQL Server database and stuff like that. It's a nice gravy for the lazy people who write it. And we don't need you anymore, unfortunately, because we have a great solution that works great. I'd look at backup products that allow incremental forever backups. Well, who wants that? Incremental forever backup. I want forever image backups, not incremental. Complete images. Yeah, they take up a lot more space, but they're real clean and restoring. Anyway, and then he asked, how many total machines are you backing up, and are they physical or virtual? So, again, he doesn't care what the guy's question is. He's not there to help. He's there to sell him something. Not to help him, right? So, back up here again. Posted by AJC, that's Apple Johnny Charlie 6534, March 8th, 2021, 10:19 p.m. It's communityspiceworks.com. Topic 2309892. Set the number of full images for Windows Server backup to keep. So, read my discussion. If you have two backup devices, you have two images only for the physical machine. Virtual images are every day that you run the backup. But for the physical box, you got two. You can't set it to 5, 6, 7 unless you take a separate disk and manually move each backup into its own folder in a dated format and organize them till the disk is full. But I've never tested what happens if you have 100 of them there. Can you just drag the one you want to the root and will it be recognized? Set up a lab and test it. I've never done so, but basically you have one full image of the physical machine on each device you're using for backup. That's the answer that those other two guys should have given, not buy my product, Windows sucks. Thanks again, guys. See you next time. Oh, wait, one more. I want to go over this guy's comment, too, before I see that I lambasted the guys who replied to him, because their answers were poor. So, I guess he's an IT consultant, so let's premise it on that. A customer lost a file due to timing with the backup image today, and it prompted a discussion on how to handle the backups, and I'm coming up short on answers. Ooh, you're always sweating when you come up short on answers, eh? They have two backups running, so you know you have two images. One for yesterday, one for the last time it was mounted, the other one was mounted. Okay, and he's not talking about backup devices, he's talking about backup routines. Carbonite in the cloud does a full backup, file level, critical folders, 1 week on Saturday and Sunday. I wouldn't back up anything to the cloud. Here, world, here's my data. Come and steal it. That's what you're saying when you back up to the cloud. Who's looking at your data? When's Carbonite? Has Carbonite been hacked yet? They will be. They all are. Let's learn something about the cloud. It's not a safe place to put your stuff because the people looking after it aren't doing a very good job, are they? How many times did this happen now? How's Microsoft 365 doing? How's Rackspace doing? Eh? Not good. Not good. So forget Carbonite to the cloud. Windows Server Backup. It does a nightly image backup of all the drives. However, it does an incremental backup of the data drive, despite being set to full backup. I've seen that happen. Some operating system, for some reason, no matter what you set it to, and I always leave mine at the default. You install the service, and however it's configured is how I use it. And I don't know where you would find it. Command line, maybe, I don't know. But what I've discovered is certain operating systems like Windows Server 2016 Essentials, I think it's called. It's the people who don't know how servers work, server software. So it's like Small Business Edition Windows Server, where they had a nice little interface that made it easy for the layman to operate the server. And I've seen in those cases it does incrementals whether you like it or not. And I don't like that because we don't want incrementals. We want full images. Incrementals remind me of the old days Server 2003 where we're backing up file systems. It's so 2010 or 2000 for that matter. And if you have a full image, you mount the image and you browse the file directories and you copy and paste your file onto the working drive. What's wrong with that? Rather than piecemealing through millions of, I used to do incrementals, and you got to keep all these logs because which version, which day, which copy do you want? Like there's so many of them, and they take up a lot of space, and it's a lot of handling. Just take a full image of the drive, mount the drive when you need to find a file, and you know which day it is, you know what time the drive was backed up at, so you know where to look, and you don't need any catalogs. Anyway, let's carry on. So the issue arose because after 30 plus days of rolling incremental backups, the server did a full backup of the drive and dumped the full image it had with data from 30 days before. So he lost it. And that's what I was telling you about, is that every so often the medium becomes full and it cleans it up without asking you and without getting your permission. You notice Windows does that a lot these days? Windows 10, for example. And they don't sell you the software anymore. They give it to you, but it tells you what to do. I wonder what's going on there. That's another video. So this was timed in such a way that the new snapshot happened to exist after they had deleted the file. So he has no backup because his backup routine let him down. Now, this is tricky because the master disk may be too old, might not have it, but one of the two mediums that you're rotating every day will have it. If it's now, the only option is if it's less than a day old. You know what I used to do on companies where there's a lot of bad users? I used to use Robocopy, and we had a drive. It was called the M drive, and that's where everybody's work was stored. So I would run backups for incrementals daily and keep them for a few months. And that was, over all the backups I ever had to mount and restore, that was the one I had to mount and restore the most often. So that's the way to go. But that's for power users that make a lot of files, change them often, because a lot of people, they don't wreck the file. They just get to a point in the file where, I want to go back to the file the way it was last week and start over again because I don't like the way this has turned out. And you can give it to them if you want, but if you need the service, there's a cost involved for that, and management's got to be willing to pay the bill for that extra effort. But it can be done. Okay. Is there a way I can tell a Windows Server backup to keep 2 or more full backups? Well, no, you cannot. One, of the physical machine. If it's a hypervisor and it's running VMs, yes, you can have. You don't have to tell it. You get them automatically. One for every day you run the backup until the disk is full. The problem is you got to watch out that it's going to delete those at some point. So that's why you need at least 2 disks, and then you want more than 3 images of the hypervisor if it is a hypervisor. So you need the 3rd disk. So you have 3 choices: one that's very old, and 2 that are current. Okay, I would give them at least 2 backup sets, so to speak, to pull from here. Yeah, and he's running a backup set. He runs from the first to third. The thing about backups is you don't want to just backup data. Backup everything every day. The operating system, everything. Make an image of the machine every day. It's the most, you take a Windows installation disk, put it in the drive, boot from it, attach a USB drive. Here's the image. Wait 2 hours, depending on your amount of data, and the server's up and running again. And you don't have to worry about anything. Any other way is a waste of time and a headache. Okay, I think I've covered everything on it. I hope you enjoyed the Windows Server backup tutorial and analysis. Thanks, everyone.